Hello and welcome back to Mike's Basement. Hope that you enjoyed yourself. Hope that you are safe out there with all this corona deal going on. Man, it's really annoying, isn't it? Here in Denmark we have a big problem actually. So, as you probably have heard, there is a new virus out there called Corona. It's actually a new version of Corona. So in Denmark we call it New Corona. Yeah, but that's the way it is. It's also called SARS-CoV-2, something like that. It stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Sickness or something like that. It's not something to be trifled with, honestly. But all the problems that are with the coronavirus and how it affects the body, you can get that information elsewhere. I will tell you this much. I've heard that one of the big problems with the coronavirus is that it may not just be a respiratory distress sickness. It might actually attack other cells, like epithelial cells in your blood vessels. So let me try to dazzle you with my totally lacking knowledge of anatomy and how the body works and all that. Physiology, yeah. Alright, so what I think I know at least, is that when something happens inside your blood vessels, usually when you get a scratch or if you slash yourself, you cut yourself with a knife, or anything like that, what will happen is that the epithelial cells in your bloodstream will begin to send out signals for the thrombolytes. Well, I'm not sure what they're called actually in English, but they're the ones that make blood clots in your vessels. They will, the epithelial cells in your blood vessels will send out signals in order to make blood clots form. And that's a good thing, because the blood clots is what basically helps you not bleed to death, because it will stop the blood from escaping the blood vessel. The thing is that what might happen is that when the coronavirus enters the body, it might also attack the epithelial cells, amongst others, in your blood vessels, making them, for no reason at all, send out signals for blood clots to form. And when blood clots form in your vessels for no apparent reason, just a clot, it's called an embolia. An emboli. And an emboli is basically, as far as I remember it... No, sorry. It's called a thrombosis. It's a thromb. And that's basically a blood clot. I might get this reversed, so don't hang me up on it. A thrombosis is a blood clot that is basically where it was formed. If it detaches from the vessel and floats around in the body, then it becomes an emboli. And that emboli might reattach itself to one of the smaller vessels, actually get stuck in one of the smaller vessels in your... Sorry, I have to sneeze. In one of the vessels in your brain. And that might give you a blood clot in the brain. So that's something completely different, right? That's a huge problem. And so that might mean that this coronavirus is actually a bit more dangerous than we initially thought. But that's not the problem that we have here in Denmark. That's a problem everywhere the coronavirus is present. The problem that we have gotten here in Denmark is that we might have inadvertently created and released a completely new version of this virus. So let me try to explain how a virus usually works. Viruses have on their surface something called spike proteins, or surface proteins, something some people also call them. You can sort of think of them as a way that the virus will attach to the cells. So if you imagine that the spike protein on the virus is a key, then there is a compatible keyhole on some of your cells. So that's the way the virus will attach itself to your cells and spray its or eject its RNA material into your cell, and there the cell will begin to construct new viruses inadvertently because it can't see the difference. What the body usually does is that it attacks these viruses when they discover them, and then they try to produce what it's called antibodies, which is sort of, you could see it as sort of a piece of chewing gum that you stick to the spike protein. It's not really, but think of it. It's like putting chewing gum on a key. Means that it won't fit into the keyhole anymore. But it also means that the body will be able to recognize those viruses because they have these antibodies attached to them, meaning that the body can safely destroy the viruses inside the body. So you have these antibodies in your body, and that means that every time the virus will re-enter your body, the antibodies will instantly attach themselves to your to the viruses, and the body can remove them safely, destroy them. What has happened here in Denmark is that we have a farm of ferrets. So it's a subspecies of ferrets actually, where we sell the skins of these ferrets. And because there is on such a farm, there's a lot of ferrets in close contact with each other, but also in close contact with the humans. It has turned out to be a breeding station for new mutations of viruses, and in particular, this new coronavirus. So what the government has discovered in Denmark is that we have actually found a new variant of the coronavirus which has new spike proteins on them. Now, mutations, they happen all the time with viruses, and we have discovered a host of different, not in Denmark, but humans, as in sort of in all, have discovered a host of new viruses with variations in spike proteins on them. But it hasn't been alarming, so that means that the antibodies will still work on these different kinds of spike proteins. But there's a high probability that the antibodies working on the coronavirus we know now will not work on this new variant with new spike proteins. So the Danish government has decided to euthanize all, and I do mean all these ferrets in Denmark. Not those that are sort of present in nature naturally, which is an invasive species. We don't have these kind of animals in Denmark naturally, but there are some that have escaped. But all of them is going to be euthanized, killed, slaughtered, whatever you want to call it. And the part where we have all of these farms, which is mostly in the northern part of Jutland in Denmark, has been completely shut down. They have simply been separated just like in almost like in not with a physical wall, but almost in the same way that Raccoon City has been isolated from the rest of the country in the Resident Evil movies. Almost like that, but not entirely, but the same sense, actually. So yeah, like I said, I hope that you are safe out there. My family and I, we have fortunately, for now, I don't want to jinx it, but we have fortunately gone free from getting the coronavirus. But I must say honestly, I fear that it's just a matter of time. Because people are getting, to be honest, some people are getting sloppy here in Denmark regarding protecting themselves and most importantly, protecting others. Because the reason you wear this mask in front of your face is actually not to give you protection. It's to give others protection from you. But as you can see, if all people do that, then we can protect each other. So, but yeah, I think people are getting sloppy here in Denmark. Some people are, not all. Definitely. We have a lot of people that are fully aware of the gravity of this situation and reacts and take care of themselves and others accordingly. Definitely. I will not put all Danes on the line, but there are some who feel that it is their right to choose whether they want to wear this mask and whether they want to protect others and all that. And honestly, while they might be sort of correct in sort of a in some philosophical sense, like for instance something like liberalism in a liberal way, they might be correct, they might have a point. I still find it to be, honestly, grossly egotistic of them to just land. Risk the infection of not only themselves, but in particular other people. That's the thing, right? They risk infecting other people, not just themselves. So yeah, that's I think it's a bit of a problem. And the contagion index here in Denmark is rising. It's going the wrong way. So we have two numbers that you can sort of work on. You have the number of infected, and then you have the contagion or infection index. So the infection index is sort of a statistical way to try to calculate the probability of the infection spreading. So let me give you an example. That number goes from 0 and all the way up to, well, basically infinity, but because there isn't an infinite number of people on the world, in the universe, then it's not infinity. But theoretically, it goes all the way to infinity. But the key point here is that when that number is lower than 1, it means that while there may be a rise in infected people, the number of people that will get infected in time will diminish. So let me try to explain what the number means. If the number is exactly 1, it will mean that one infected person will statistically infect another person. That's what it means. If the number is lower than 1, let's say it's 0.5, it means that 2 people that are infected will statistically only infect one person. Or if you will, if you have 50 people infected, if you have 5 people infected, they will only infect 2.5, something like that. It takes 2 people to infect 1. If the number is greater than 1, let's say it's 1.2, for example, it means that 10 people will statistically infect 12 people. So as you can see, in both cases we can have... Let me see how much we can sell. I know that we can sell all of this, so that's... I'm just going to hold on this Corona deal for now. So that means that we have 90,650 plus... Let's see what we got. 67,315. 157. Alright, let's put that in. Let's see how much processed food. All of it. So that's not a problem. The food is not a problem, so we're going to sell it for 42,000. But I don't think it's going to give us 42,406. It's not a great deal. But it is money. No doubt about that. So from here we're going to spend some money. Big spenders. Because we're going to buy tungsten. For 200, 220. Yes. Alright. So let's get back to the subject at hand. When that infection ratio, or whatever you want to call it, infection index, contagion index, is above 1, it means that the sickness will spread to a larger part of the population. If the index is lower than 1, it means that you have the sickness will be contained. Even though you can get an increase in the number of infected, the amount of the sickness will not spread. And right now in Denmark, I think the infection index is still above 1, 1.1 or 1.2, something like that. That's not good. That's a problem, in my opinion. Alright, we didn't get any uninvited guests along. Yeah. So what I really hope will happen is that here in Denmark we get enough restrictions online. I think that our government should definitely put enough restrictions on the whereabouts of people so that we can get this sickness contained. Because with all these different
engines online.
What do we have there? Maybe it's the oh, nevertheless, I think that's the freelancer that I just watched. Let's see if I can find out where we have Virginia Point. I'm going to... Yeah, he left, so no one is here. Alright, so what I hope will happen is that our government put enough restrictions on society in order to ensure that we can actually contain this sickness. Because I don't think we should make fun of it. I think when people say that this is not more severe than a normal influenza or a normal cold, they are simply dead wrong. Because we know that there's a lot of problems with the with some of the after effects that people might experience when infected with coronavirus. And even relatively young people like me, I'm 38, so I'm sort of in my mid-age, somewhere around that. We can get severe problems with coronavirus, even though we have a relatively mild sickness. We don't have big problems with getting ill by it, so maybe a little bit of fever and something like that. We might still experience severe after effects like severe headaches, memory losses, problem keeping memory, all those things, sleeping problems, and worst of all, I would say, forming these blood clots that could potentially lodge themselves into the brain and kill people. So yeah, I hope that we get this sickness contained fast, actually, and hopefully get a vaccine soon so that we may get rid of it. So the same way that we have gotten rid of a lot of other diseases. So yeah. Alright, so that was today's sad talk. Let's keep spirit high and enjoy ourselves here in the verse without any illnesses. Alright, so we are heading for Virginia Point right now to sell the tungsten that we bought. And from there we might go on to, we're going to buy some scrap, and then we're going to head back to Levski. And that's the trip. That's the route that I have created. The money route, if you will. So yeah. Alright, let's put the landing gear down and reduce the amount of throttle that we can give the system. So the reason why I would suggest anyone starting or considering playing Star Citizen to get this HOTAS set up, I would actually say whether you get a HOTAS or HOSAS doesn't really matter. So let's start by defining what those words actually mean. So HOTAS stands for hands-on throttle and stick. Basically means that when you fly around, you can keep your hands on the throttle and on the stick at all times. Then you have HOSAS, which means hands-on, stick and stick. So instead of having the throttle, you have another stick. Now, for example, the Thrustmaster T16000 M series, you can actually turn around one of the sticks. So instead of having it for right hand, you can have a left hand version as well. So that's the sort of the idea behind this, and the reason why I would suggest anyone interested in playing Star Citizen getting a HOTAS or HOSAS setup is that, in my opinion, you get a more fine-tuned control over your ship. Not just when you're fighting, because when you're fighting, the mouse and keyboard can be a very potent instrument to use, because at least with the mouse you have a very fine control over where you're pointing your weapons. But still, I would say that in the everyday general use in Star Citizen, the HOTAS and the HOSAS setup, depending on what you want, will give you a lot of buttons and a lot of places to give you control over the entire ship. And with the HOTAS or HOSAS setup, it actually also makes it viable to go into what's it called? Non-coupled mode. So in upcoming video, I'm going to show you the difference between coupled and uncoupled. So basically, let me try to explain it a little bit. When you fly on the ground in any kind of airplane, there are a basic sort of way that the airplane works. So there are 4 basic forces at play: throttle, wind resistance, or resistance in general, there's lift, and then there's gravity. So when you have your airplane standing on the ground, there's only one force. Well, there are 2 forces working on the airplane. Hopefully you can figure out why that is. If not, let me give you a little physics lecture and tell you why. So, when I'm standing on the ground like this, there has to be 2 forces at play at all times. If there were only one force, and that would be gravity, I would accelerate down through the floor, never stopping. Not until that force would stop influencing me. Would stop influencing me. So the reason why we need another force is that, well, I'm not falling anywhere. I'm pretty stationary right now. So there has to be an upward force. And I'm not sure what you actually call it in Britain and US, but here in Denmark we call it the normal force. So it's technically not a real force. Well, it is, because it's more like, you could say, it is the force that the floor you're standing on is influencing you. So you can say, because of gravity, you are influencing the floor with a certain amount of force, and the force has to, because of Newton's law, has to influence you with the same kind of force, just in the opposite direction, and that opposite direction is up. So when your airplane is standing on the ground, there are only 2 forces at play: the normal force and gravity. When you turn on the engines and give them thrust, you give them throttle, then you have 4 forces at play still. You still have gravity and the normal force, but you also now have thrust from the engines, and you are beginning to have a certain amount of wind resistance, because the airplane is now moving forward. At some point, the lift of the wings is going to... Let's see how much. 230,824. 230,824. Alright. So that gave us 30,604 in income. That's pretty decent, actually. Let's buy scrap. 761. Let's just buy it before I... no. Oh well, 30k. Welcome. Alright, we're back. Welcome back. Hope that we launch at the right place. Looks like it. Alright, so yeah, when you let me get back to that conversation I had with you about the airplane, or whatever you want to call it, monologue, perhaps. Let's go to lobby. When the airplane is moving, and the faster it moves, the more lift the wings will generate. So instead of having the normal force keeping the a plane from falling through the ground, you'll gradually swap that out with lift from the engines instead. And at some point, the lift from the engines will be more than the pull of the gravity, and therefore you will have the airplane rising, or taking off, if you will. So when the airplane is flying at cruise velocity, at cruise altitude, there are 4 forces at play that each sort of are equal in size. You have the lift from the engines, the lift from the wings, and gravity being exactly the same size. And you'll have the thrust from the engines and the wind resistance from the airframe and in general to be exactly the same. That is where the ship is moving at constant velocity in one direction. But in space, it's something completely different. You see where I am actually. I should be at Bikini Point. In space, it is something completely different. Let's see if... No, I didn't. Seven, 76761. Seven, 76761. There we go. So, yep. Alright. So in space, where there's no wind resistance or anything like that, you basically have 6 directions. Let me check. I think you actually have 8. Let's check it out. So we have, just like in a ship, we have pitch, we have yaw, we have roll, and then we also have up, down, and moving from side to side, and moving forward. So as you can see, there are many more directions that you can take in space. When your ship is in coupled mode, it means that the thrusters on your ship will always try to make your direction be in the same way as your point. But when you're decoupled, it means that the thrusters will only try to make you go in the direction you are trying to thrust. So for instance, in coupled mode, the ship will try to make you fly more as if you were actually in atmosphere, the same kind of flying around. Whereas in decoupled, you'll actually fly as a real spaceship, meaning you thrust yourself in one direction and then you can turn the ship whichever way you want, and then you can thrust yourself in that direction, and that will change the way you fly. If you want to see exactly what I mean, you should go and watch some of the videos I've done on Orbiter. I will probably make a little bit more videos about it, because I think Orbiter is a way to show how orbital mechanics and how all of these things work in real life, in physics. So let's get my caterpillar out, and let's fly to Leski, because now we have gone full circle with some minor hiccups, but nevertheless. And when we have Leski, I will say goodbye to you and hope to see you in another. But let's deal with that when we get there. Alright. Alright, so let's say it was hangar 4 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was. I can see it now. So, I know that I have spent quite a bit of time some time ago on streaming. And to be honest, I don't really mind streaming. I think it's an excellent way to engage myself with my audience, to answer questions and do all that. I do like this format also because, first of all, it gives me the freedom to tell the story I want to, instead of having to sort of make the story adjust to what people ask me about and all those things. But in general, what I want to do, what I would like to try at some point, is to make streaming where I actually try to teach or give lectures in astronomy and physics. Because I think I would like to share my knowledge. I love sharing my knowledge about astronomy. But I would also like to sort of try to hone my skills as a teacher. And I think that the best way to hone your skills as a teacher is to actually engage in teaching, where you can be asked questions that you maybe didn't prepare as well. You have to think on your feet. I'll see if I can get the time to do it. That's the real thing.
Your systems are online.
Alright, let's see. We're going to go to Delamar. It's a little annoying that you really can't select left ski anymore, but yeah, just the way it is. Let's get the hangar doors opened.
You are clear to launch.
There we go. Now we're just waiting for the doors to open. I think actually this will be sort of reasonable time. Then clock says 41 minutes recorded right now, and with me cutting out certain parts on the video I think it's going to be reasonable. So yeah, the next video I'm going to make will most likely, no, it will be either be about doing box missions using the Aurora MR and other ships, because the Aurora MR is, after all, a starter ship.
Landing gear.
I might also make some videos about, sort of, in my opinion, what I would call general tips when you want to cargo haul, when you want to trade. But the most upcoming news right now is this UAE, UIE, whatever it's called, some kind of ship conference that you can go and watch. And I will in the PTU at the moment, I think today at some point around 8 o'clock or something like that, they will engage in testing out these areas that we're going to watch the ships at. Now, whether the ships will be there or not, I don't know. They probably won't, because then why the heck would we want to go into it in the PU instead? But I think that we can sort of get a sneak peek on what is going to happen there, and maybe, just maybe, the Mercury Star Runner will be revealed there, and we might even get to fly it. That would be something. But as usual, at these exhibits, you usually have the ability to rent the ships that are there at the exhibit and try them out, and I will do that just again. I'm also debating myself whether I should get back into Ark Survival, because one of the really cool things about Ark Survival, besides the dinosaurs, I'm a dinosaur, I'm a dino man, is that they have these special occasions where, when it's Christmas, for example, we have Santa Raptor instead of Santa Claus going out and dealing out presents, and Halloween specials, Easter, and all those different kind of periods in time, they are also present in the game, and that makes it a little bit more fun to be in. They don't really have that sort of in the same way here in Star Citizen, but obviously you can do it yourself. That's not entirely true, as I showed you in one video. Just show you. This mask that I'm wearing here is sort of a serial killer mask that is specifically sort of put into the game as a consequence of Halloween. So who knows? We might even get sort of special masks or hats, Santa and hats or anything like that, Christmas hats, when we have Christmas holiday. I also have. Let me just show you. Let's just put that on because I think it's so funny. We have the... Not that one. I want the other one. There. The Fillsbury Dark Bear helmet. Let's put that on. It looks a little bit like my son has played a game called, and also seen some videos about what's called Five Nights at Freddy's. The bear mask here sort of resembles that a little bit. So yeah, that's. I hope that they will. And also, I really want to get back into the Long Dark. There's a lot of new stuff in there, and I want to do a survival series where I change a little bit of the. I twist a little bit of the knobs. I don't want to have to fight the animals as much, so I would like to be able to set up camp out in the snow using this little snow shelter without really having a big risk of being attacked by bears or wolves or anything like that. So I probably will set the aggressiveness of the animals to be very low, and the detection range for them to be very low as well, so that I can fight the elements as I see it. It's more like going on camping than it is going on a survival escape the animals that want to eat you kind of experience. I think it's a different kind of experience, but I think that'll be fun. And obviously I will set the system so that the weather will become colder. We'll have typhoons, hurricanes, all those things, snowstorms, all that will be present in game. But I want to try to fight the elements instead of fighting animals, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I think I'll start up a series. I just have to plan it. That's it. Got to get it into my regular schedule of things to do. Now, my friends, guys, we have come full circle. We are now back at Levski. This is where we started.
Quantum drive is now.
So let's go sell this scrap. And then I'm going to... then I have to go. I want to get... It's 14... It's 2 o'clock here. I'm hungry as heck. I want to get something to eat. And maybe sit down and watch something, series, anything like that. And then get back into this game and see if I can earn some more money. And then at some point later today, I want to make a video about this new experience that we have In the PTU, I can buy one ship. I have 15 millions in the ship, so I can buy. We can look at the new ships that we want to try out, that we want to test. I don't have all the ships in the PTU, but we can buy some of them and we can rent some of them. So I can probably do a video about the Cutlass Black, the Avenger Titan, and also the perhaps even the Freelancer Max. So yeah, let's get landed, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, let's do that. I'll give you a formal farewell. So don't worry. Let's just see where there's Levski. Try to gain a little bit more altitude. Yeah, I'll contact ATC to land.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
So, if this had been Flight Simulator and with a real ATC, I would probably have said something like, let me see, Levski ATC, this is the Great Dane Caterpillar requesting hangar to land. And then the ATC would call me back and say, yep, we have hangar something ready for you. But in this case they have even, they have removed, I can't remember his name, but he was such a cool guy when the ATC that we had here. Now we just get a hangar ready. Alright. Oh. I think maybe this is the best way to take. Let's get the landing gear down. Some point I have to try to fly down in that hole and see how far down I can get. Reduce the speed a little bit. Here in our family we have big problems with the I'm not sure what they called, heads for our electric toothbrush. When we try to make our son brush his teeth, we usually end up putting our head on instead of his, and in this case I actually think my wife put his head on instead of her own. That's why you got her sigh in the background. Let me see if I can get this to land properly. I'm pretty sure I can probably get it to land, even crash land if that were the case. Alright, let's fill up the tanks. %. Yeah, we definitely need to fill up the tanks. That's going to take some time. So I'm going to take my leave of you right here. I think I'm going to give you that formal farewell here, even though you're going to see me go in and sell all the commodities that I have, all this scrap, not crap, but scrap. In the next video, I'm going to probably going to buy something to eat. We ate that little snack, couple of in the last video, but I'm going to buy something to eat as well. And yeah, you know, as always, if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up, and I can really use it. The more likes you give my videos, the more likely it will be to be shown for people that is not part of my channel. So definitely try to like it if you really like it. If you don't like it but still want to support me, then give it a like anyway. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe to my channel and click that little bell button in the bottom, and you will get the notifications whenever I'm up to something new shenanigans, new ideas and all that. So yeah, let's go sell this scrap, not crap, and I'll see you in the next one.